Saludos programas and welcome. It is Friday night, and that means that it was AEW Rampage night. I am Adolfo the Nerdy Puerto Rican, and with me is Mikey, the pop culture geek. Mikey, introduce yourself.
Hello. Gosh, you just saw me like the last couple of days between Impact and Ring of Honor, but I am here once again to cover Rampage with my fellow Boricua brother, Adolfo. I'm really excited. Tonight's Rampage was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to talk about it with you. I'm really excited. This is going to be a fun one. I am one of the 5 Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast members. I guess I'm the head of the Bi-Conics Podcast Wrestling members, but we all work together. Make sure you give us a like and subscribe. Check out all the other stuff. We got Hot Tag, where Adolfo here covers the news in the wrestling sports entertainment world. We also have been slowly rolling out our Beat the Clock Challenge, where we review the weekly TV shows. And if you are looking for more in-depth pay-per-view stuff, you could go back and check out my review of Impact Against All Odds that happened last week. But we're here for the main event, as Mark Henry likes to put it, with Rampage. I can't wait. I'm so excited. That's one of the highlights I look forward to every week when I watch Rampage.
I know. It is fun watching. It is fun watching. All right, so here we are on the Rampage cleanup. So let's start at the beginning, which is a very good place to start. So our first match of tonight was Chaos versus the United Empire. It was a trios match. Mikey, what did you think?
Anytime that we get Chaos and United Empire to go against each other is always going to be a good time. I love them whenever they cross paths in AEW. I love it anytime they cross paths in New Japan. All 6 men in this match are extremely talented. Representing the United Empire, you have Kyle Fletcher, Jeff Cobb, and of course the one and only Will Ospreay, who we'll be talking about a little bit later because he has a big match coming up shortly at Forbidden Door, taking on some of the members of Chaos, which includes Trent Beretta, Mr. Chucky T himself, Chuck Taylor, and of course the short, wonderful man that is Rocky Romero. I thought this was a really fun opener. I'm used to all 6 men competing individually, but when all within this trios match, everybody was able to do a lot of things. And what I love, which I don't get to see a lot of, is trios working together and doing trios team moves and maneuvers as well as individual things, which is what's sorely missing in a lot of tag team and trios matches. But this was a really fun start.
Yeah. So, truth be told, I am a returning wrestling fan. I am what you would describe as a new wrestling fan to AEW. Of course, being an older wrestling fan, there are some faces that I recognize, some faces that are new to me. So, seeing this was my first opportunity seeing Will Ospreay. Because I know that he's got the match coming up with Kenny Omega at Forbidden Door on the 25th. And it was good. He looked really good. His team, they looked really good. I heartily agree. It was really nice seeing trios working together. Because often maybe... More so, I believe it's because the way that the story is written. When you get a bunch of singles wrestlers that kind of get put together either in a tag team or a trios type situation, there'll always be some sort of friction, which it didn't seem like there was any with both teams. As a matter of fact. They worked really well. They communicated really well. They had some really great spots. The match was really engaging. Man, I love that flippy dippy do that they do off the ropes, where they do like the somersault. Is it a somersault? Yeah, the somersault, and then their legs like hit the rope, and then they kick off the rope. That's just That's just real. That's so cool. That's a move that, like, back when I was watching wrestling a lot, you didn't see that hardly ever. You only saw that maybe like in the WCW matches when you had a young Rey Mysterio Jr. or Eddie Guerrero or
Yep.
other Mexican or Japanese talent that came in. So it is exciting to see that style is seems to be more the mainstay nowadays. But yeah, so that first match was really good, really good. I got nothing more to say on that
Right.
one.
And it's again because just to explain a little bit. So I've been watching wrestling for quite a bit now. I fell off once I left for college, but then once I graduated, I kind of got back into it and slowly expanding. Man, it's always a good time, especially because even and just for the wrestling nerds out there, if you watch this match closely, you can see not only are they working as trios, but within each side, you also have certain tag teams that have been established. Of course, unfortunately, Kyle Fletcher's partner, Mark Andrews, is currently out on injury, but in the faction of United Empire, usually you would see those two, Aussie Open, Aussie, 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 oi, oi, oi.
Wait.
I love their entrance. I don't care what nobody says. And then, of course, on the other side, in Chaos, you have Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero, who formed the tag team in New Japan of Roppongi Vice. So it's nice to see all three teams do trio stuff, but then you separately have the tag teams within those little factions be able to pull stuff off as well. I think it was the right choice for United Empire to get the victory here, especially since you're trying to build up Will Ospreay for his upcoming match for the IWGP United States Championship against the wrestling god amongst many, Kenny Omega. I'm really excited, but this was such a strong opener, and anytime these six, Jeff Cobb, man, Jeff Cobb doesn't get a lot of credit. I love Jeff Cobb. He is such a powerhouse, and people forget that.
Yeah, he was the big dude in green, right?
Yes, he is the Samoan enforcer for United Empire, bro.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Alice, my partner in crime, she came out to tell me something, and she stopped just as he was doing one of the things where, like, he caught, like, the one dude came off and was trying to do like a Hurricane Rada type situation, and he caught him and came back around and tossed him, and she was like, "Wow, that was impressive." And yeah, it's just an impressive feat of strength. So,
and of course, that feeling for me kept on with the next match. So next we had Taya Valkyrie.
But
go ahead.
But wait.
There's more.
We can't just jump to the next match. Can we talk about Rampage is Jericho? Chris Jericho was in the announcement booth. What do you think of good old Fozzy in that announcing booth there?
I'm used to hearing Jericho on Rampage because he's there for a good chunk of it. And obviously, I think Chris Jericho, does an awesome job at being a shit heel commentator.
Yeah,
because he's always gonna hype. He's gonna hype up the heels. He's gonna talk a lot of crap to the faces, and especially the people he's had feuds with. It was evident in tonight's episode. Yeah. But Chris Jericho's just and it was more evident during the mixed trios match a little bit later in the show where the full heel Jericho came right out.
Without a doubt. Yeah, totally.
Well, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna probably talk a lot about that match because I was just like, I'm here for the dumb wrestling bits.
Ever since they announced that match, I was like, that's the match I want to watch on Rampage. So
same.
But let's give the next match their flowers. So the next match, as Mikey was saying, was Taya Valkyrie versus Trish Adora. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a good second match. I will admit I am a Taya Valkyrie fan. She won me over with her match at Double or Nothing a few weeks ago, and wish they would allow her, or she would lean into the heel aspect a little bit more. Because I mean, she's definitely given off heel vibes, but it's more like the pretty princess heel vibes, which I'm she is a beautiful woman, but like just I don't know, just the way that she wrestles, like I kind of like to see a little bit more edge in that, coming out of her. But yeah, the match was good. The match was good. Trish Adora had some good spots in there. I'll be honest, when the match first started, I was afraid it was going to be a squash match, which it didn't turn out to be, which which amused me, and it was an entertaining match.
I have a different perspective because I'm spoiled because I have followed Taya's career for quite a bit. Before coming to AEW, she did return to Impact for a little bit, where she did hold the Knockouts Tag Team Championships, which is the women's tag team in Impact. And she's part of the faction that's still currently going strong right now in Impact, with the Death Dolls, with her and Rosemary and Jessica. It's a great time. Now, I could see if you haven't seen Taya before in her past work, the pretty princess heel kind of can get annoying. I'm used to it because that was her heel persona a lot of the time when she was in Impact all those years ago. She was the pretty princess, and the one thing I do miss though is that during that pretty princess heel era, I missed her wearing the earmuffs as her part of her ring gear. I missed the ear. Like, she would come down in full earmuffs and wrestle with them and everything.
Wow, that's cool.
So
okay.
And of course the fuzzy boots has always been a staple, a part of her ring gear.
Yeah.
So
I love those fuzzy boots. That's
yeah.
So good.
I can see if this. Yeah. I can see that if this is your first kind of soft introduction to Taya Valkyrie, I totally understand where the princess heel character can be a little grating at some points, and just I can agree. Taya can lean into a bit of the edge. I have seen her do it before. I think we're just slowly going to get it out, and I'm hoping that, because as we saw later in the show, this rivalry that she's going to have, this feud that she's going to have with Chris Statlander, I hope that brings out that more vicious side of Taya I know that she has. And of course, no surprise that she won, but I also have to give flowers to Trish Adora. I love Trish. This is the second time this week I got to see her, because I saw, me and JBL were lucky enough to see her fight for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship yesterday during the Ring of Honor show against Athena, and Homegirl can go. And of course, I appreciated the fact that commentary put over her prior military service and she transitioned from that into professional wrestling. Trish is amazing. If you have not seen her work, go check out her work on the independent scene. Girl can go. She's had some phenomenal matches, and I'm happy to see her get more television time. But Taya is also great. I will forever bounce along every time she comes in with her theme song by Wrestle and Flow. It is one of my absolute favorites. I was like, "Es la güera loca," which people forget. I'm like, Taya Valkyrie is part Spanish, ladies and gentlemen, non-binary peoples of the internet land.
Really, I apologize. I made that assumption that she was not, especially being from Canada. And
I know, right?
I am now making an ass out of me and me. That's what happens when you assume.
I know. With a name like Taya Valkyrie, it doesn't necessarily give off she is part Spanish, but she is. And then, of course, her husband is also of the Latin descent too. Johnny Mundo, Johnny Star, all the Johnnies.
Yeah.
Like, they're a real married couple.
Yes.
But this match was a lot of fun. I'm happy it wasn't a squash match, because I would have been a little upset if Trish got squashed. I like that. Yeah. At the beginning of the match, I was like, all right, Taya, so we're going back to the princess gimmick. All right. And then towards the end, when she started to be more vicious with it, I'm like, okay, this is going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
My ending statement to this match is I agree with you. I hope we see a little bit more edge, especially as we continue to build this feud between Taya and Chris Statlander for the TBS Championship. So who knows when we're going to get that championship match. I just hope it's not anytime soon, because then I'll be like, okay, but why?
Right. Yeah. My final thoughts on this match. It was a good match. It was a good number 2 match. It definitely kept me engaged in the show, and also hopefully we will see this Chris Statler? No, what's her last name?
Statlander.
We'll hopefully see Chris Statlander and Taya Valkyrie, that whole thing slowly blossom, because I would much rather that be like a slow burn type situation than than like they meet on Dynamite next week or the Collision after that and like that's it. You know what I mean? So yeah. All right. So then the next thing I have on my notes of power is we had the Hardys and their spot, and they answered the call of the guns, and it looks like on Dynamite, I believe it is, that
Yep.
we're gonna have the Guns versus the Hardys. What do you think about that spot there, Mikey? What do you think?
Okay, so I want to preface by saying this, right? I love the Hardys. I always will. They carried the tag team division for the last 3 decades across multiple promotions. With that being said, I'm hoping this match is better than the 0 hour match that they had at Double or Nothing. Because oof. I love you, Jeff Hardy, but that was not it. That was not it. Yeah. That was not great. And I'm like, I get it, the Hardys are getting up there in age. It's harder and harder for them to do the crazy stuff that they did in their youth, but man, here's what I think needs to happen, right? And this is a hot take. I think the Guns need to win this one because they are the younger team. They are the younger up-and-coming team. And I think if the Guns are going to win, I think some schmoz is going to happen. Something's going to happen where the Hardys are screwed out of their victory, whether it be by Ethan Page or somebody else. Or I would also appreciate if the Guns win clean, but I think the Guns need to win. Also, as a side note, the Guns better be coming out to 50 Cent next week. Otherwise, I'm turning off my television. I don't care what nobody says. When they came out for their tag team championship match against FTR at, what was it? I think Grand Slam. That was the hardest shit on the planet. And I was like, damn it, these white boys have me cheering for them because this entrance is kind of fire. Right. My expectations are low. I don't want to say it's going to be bad. I will have to watch it, and hopefully they'll change my mind. But I really do hope that match is better than the Hardys' last match at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, so I didn't see that the Hardys match at Double or Nothing, but just going off of, and again, just like you said, not to diminish their talents. They are the Hardy Boys. I enjoyed watching them during the WWE, was it the Attitude Era? Yeah. I enjoyed watching them through the Attitude Era, and they pulled off some crazy stuff. I would much rather if this match, like the two jabronis that they own, like they quote unquote own their contract for, like if they said, oh hey, you two, you wrestle for us type situation, I think I would enjoy the match a little more seeing that than if I actually saw the Hardy Boys wrestle, because yes, there are some older wrestlers that are out there that are, can still hold that type of intensity, but then there are other wrestlers who are better served to boost the younger talent, from outside of the ring, and I feel that this is that type of situation for the Hardys. So then, after that spot, you shut your mouth, Jay Lethal. I loved the build up for this match.
That shit had me rolling on the floor last week, Adolfo.
Oh, it was so good.
I was crying. I was crying of laughter.
So good. So we had the trios match between Jay Lethal, Jeff and Karen Jarrett versus the Briscoes and Ref Aubrey. This was something that spawned off of...
stupid, but it was so good.
This spawned from Double or Nothing when Ref Aubrey got the guitar to the face from Karen Jarrett. And there's been a... if certain companies would build matches the way they built this match, there wouldn't be any issues. There wouldn't be any story issues because the build up for this match has been great. I've been watching it both like on Dynamite. I've been watching it both on social media. It's been good. It's been so good, and it came to a head tonight. I kind of feel like they're gonna do a part 2 somewhere down the line. Chris Jericho, he came out like you said. He was heel commentating the whole fracking way, man. It was so good. But yeah, so we had Jay Lethal, Jeff, and Karen Jarrett versus the Briscoes, Papa Briscoe, and
Mark and Aubrey.
And Aubrey. And it was good. It was goofy wrestling. I was totally there for it. I kind of felt a little bit bad for Mark Briscoe because, to be fair, on his team, he seemed like he shouldered a lot of the work.
Okay, so let's put this in perspective real quick, right? So we'll get into the match in a little bit, but let's start at the beginning of this entrance, right? Okay. First and foremost, as a wrestling fan, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal's music being combined together is very hard. And I was just like, anytime I get to hear that theme, I was like, okay, we're good. And I look at Jeff Jarrett, I'm like, I hate you. You're like, what? You're getting older and you still look this great. I'm like, how dare you?
Yeah. He's one of those wrestlers like I was referring to before, where he's up there in age, but he can still hold that intensity. So go ahead. Sorry. Didn't mean to.
Yes. I also appreciate that Jeff Jarrett, technically he's only supposed to be a backstage personnel, but he's out here wrestling every week, and he's out here collecting a paycheck. He don't care what he got to do. I gotta applaud this man's like hustle, because he's out here in these. I always see him in these silly storylines, and somehow they always work. And I want to hate them, but I can't.
And they're entertaining, and
And I agree with you. Listen. There's wrestling fans out there that don't like silly shtick or silly stories or silly funny matches. I do, because you have to balance the technicality and the long-term storytelling, and sometimes you just need a good joke match. Yeah. But this was perfect, and like you said, this has been building since a Double or Nothing, where what spawned everything was Aubrey getting smacked upside the head with the guitar from Karen Jarrett, and then the epic promo that was, you shut your
mouth, Jay Lethal.
So we get to the entrances, right? So Jeff and Jay and Karen, along with Satnam Singh and Sanjay Dutt, like all of them come out to the ring. Cool, awesome. Then of course, the Briscoes theme hits. Mark comes out, does his thing. When I tell you, just then watching Papa Briscoe come out, he's like, yeah, I'm going to kill somebody today. Yeah. I'm just like, bro, he has seen some shit. Seen some shit. Yeah. And then Aubrey comes out. Now, I knew Aubrey wasn't going to come out like in wrestling gear. I did appreciate it was just like basically a sleeveless ref shirt and just like ready to go, which was all he needed.
With the sparkly AEW.
Yes.
That was key. The sparkly AEW logo. That was awesome. That was so cool.
I was laughing so hard because Mark comes down the ramp doing his thing, and if you take a look at the background, like Aubrey's just soaking it in. She's like, "Oh my gosh, we're here!" And she completely misses until she catches herself. Papa Briscoe's trying to dab her up, and then he's like, "Oh, okay, never mind." And then she turns around, it's like, "Oh yeah, hang on."
And then did you see the two little girls dressed as referees?
That was the cutest thing on the planet.
Right. Do we know if they were like related to Ref Aubrey, or are they just fans? Because if they're just fans, they win. They win AEW Rampage this night
for this episode. Yeah, I don't know. See here, as a side note, right? So we talk about the wrestlers, but sometimes as wrestling fans, there are always like there's other people that normally don't get talked about in these discussions. I think is important. Like Aubrey has become one of my favorite AEW referees. Yep. Her and Bryce Rimsberg are probably my two favorites referees. Bryce is the bald-headed dude who his facial and his selling is amazing. Aubrey is amazing too. She gets into it. She's like, "All right, let's do this." Pulls up the pants and everything. Yep. And I think that's also important. It's not just the wrestlers that should have characterizations, but the ref should be able to be animated and to be characterized as well, because it adds to everything. Like, this was not a match I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting Aubrey to wrestle, and this is her. And I mean, now she has an official AEW record. She has a 1-0 win rate.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna get a part 2, so this is gonna be great. Yeah. But let's talk about the highlights. So, yes. To be fair, Mark had to carry his team because you have Aubrey, who has no experience with wrestling, and then you have Papa Briscoe, who I was afraid if you blew the wrong way or he sneezed the wrong way, he would pop something.
Yeah, I was afraid his hip was going to get broken or something.
I could tell as he was getting in and out of the ring, I'm like, oof, you have done a lot of things in your lifetime, my friend, and I don't need you to get hurt in this match. But you know what? This match was silly. It was stupid, but it was like in the best way possible.
Yeah, totally.
Totally. Papa Briscoe just punching people left and right.
Oh yeah. Him getting those clotheslines in, and then the freaking manager dude. What's his name?
Sanjay just decking him across the face.
When he got him outside of the ring, that was awesome.
I thought it was really cool that him and Mark teamed up a little bit during the match too. Like, they did some tag team moves. I was just like,
yeah.
If I only have one complaint about this match, I'm a big fan of mixed tag matches. I would have loved to see Aubrey just like wreck house and just like throw Jeff Jarrett around or Jay Lethal around. Yeah. But it made sense that her and Karen would be interacting the whole entire time. I think AEW does the mixed tags a little bit better, but I want to see Aubrey like go ham and just like destroy Jeff and just like take a guitar and smack him. I want to see the genders interact with each other more, like the opposite of each other. But ultimately, this was a great match. I love that Aubrey did the figure 4 to win the match for her team after she hit Jay Lethal as the ref was distracted with the guitar. So now...
And as soon as Aubrey got that figure 4 in, Karen was like, "Get me out! Get me out! I don't like this."
And of course, also towards the end too, this is just a minor ring psychology thing. I love when tag teams their tag team partners do what they need to do to try to keep other tag team partners outside of the ring. So Mark running over to keep Jeff from taking Aubrey off of Karen for that figure 4. This match was silly. It was stupid. I'm excited for part 2 because now that you mention it, we are going to get a part 2. It's just a matter of when.
Yep. Yeah, right. Exactly. It's just a matter of when. So then after this match was the Taya Valkyrie interview where Chris Statlander came in and some shit was talked. It was an alright promo. Am I vested to see how this whole Taya Valkyrie Chris Statlander story goes? Yes. Did it get me excited? Not really. So I guess if this is going to be a long-term thing between these two, then I will accept this as like the first promo. I just hope that the intensity starts picking up on the promos from here. But if this is the only promo that they're gonna get, then I'm gonna take that back.
Well, here's the thing, too. So, Chris has been out for almost a year and a half due to the ACL injury. And, of course, as we all know, ACLs are really, really bad injuries to get because they take a lot of time to heal, especially if you go get a surgery to take care of and all that stuff. The other problem is that Chris, before the injury, her character at the time was a alien who rarely talked, and she was just there with Orange Cassidy and the rest of Best Friends. So this is really her first time, at least to my knowledge, in AEW, talking and giving promos and things like that. Because before she would just be the alien who booped your nose, and that was her gimmick. And before she got injured.
Got it.
Now, I am a Chris Lander stan. This is a stan account, whatever the kids want to call it these days. I still think her match against Britt Baker at All Out 2021 was probably one of my favorite matches she's ever has because it made her look strong, and even in loss, she was awesome, which you want that to happen when you have championship matches and the challenger loses. You still want to make them strong. I'm a little biased because I know AEW is my first introduction to Chris. I have followed, like I mentioned before, I followed Taya for a very long time, so I know what she can do. I'm in the same boat as you. I really hope that they take their time and they build the story out correctly, because if this is a championship match that happens in like 2 to 3 weeks and then we're done, I was like, then what was the point? Yep. I'm like, and this is my thing too. You just had Chris beat Jade, who has held that TBS title since its inception 2 years ago. Jade has held that title for 2 whole years. Mm-hmm. And she has basically ran through every single woman in the AEW roster, as well as smaller independent companies that work with AEW. So I am intrigued with the first feud post-Jade being Chris versus Taya, but the story needs to be built correctly. Taya needs to lean in more to the edgy heel character. Yep. And I love Chris, and I'm a big fan, but I need her to work on her promo work as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you can tell that she's not used to giving these promos. And I give a little grace because she has been gone for a year and a half, so you don't get to, if you're not practicing a skill over and over again, it's not going to become a habit. Yeah. And so you have to do it over and over again in order to get better at it. So I'm hoping that Taya leans into more of that edge to be more heelish, and I'm hoping for Chris working with Taya, who is the consummate veteran, because she has an expansive career. Yep. I think this is... I like this feud, and it's refreshing because this is not... Jade is nowhere to be involved. I love Jade, by the way. Yeah. Jade, every time... Her pay-per-view entrances always make me smile because she's a big nerd, and I love her for it. Always coming out in some sort of cosplay, like when she came out as She-Hulk, or, what was it? Is it Thundera? She came out as a Thundercat.
Yeah, Chitara.
Chitara, yes. Yeah. I'm just like...
Yep.
And I hope, also as a side note, I hope Jade enjoys her time off. I know she's been working for the last 2 years. She has earned a little vacation time.
And that brings us to our main event for the night, which we had Bandito versus, and correct me if I mispronounce his name, Mikey, Konsuke Takesha.
Yeah, there's a little bit of consonants and vowels that mixed it up, but yeah, so love Bandito, and then I actually had to listen to the ring announcers in New Japan, but it's Konosuke Takeshita.
Takeshita. Okay. So this match was, I thought it was a good main event. It was both are very technical wrestlers. Konosuke, did I say it correctly?
Yeah, Konosuke.
You can tell that Konosuke definitely is a little bit more of a beefy wrestler. Because he has that physique. He's tall and he's got some muscle on him. Not an over exuberant amount, but enough that he can he can sell that whole power. I don't want to say power giant, but like that power wrestler type, as opposed to a technical wrestler type. Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of great moves. I think I said this to you last week, Mikey, but anytime there's a fucking luchador in the ring, I'm good. And just because, some of those like backwards 450s and freaking some of those dives and jumps that he was doing, I was just like, what? Or like when they towards the end of the match when they got up on the top turnbuckle, and Konsuke, again, if I mispronounce, I'm sorry, but he turned out coming down with not a crossface, but not a lariat, but a clothesline. He came down with a clothesline, and Bandito kind of did a whole just like flip down because of it type thing, selling it really good. It was really entertaining. I'm very happy. I'm super happy that Don Douchebag did not interfere. Had that happened, I don't think I would have found as much enjoyment in the match as I did. But thankfully, both wrestlers really spoke for themselves, and the match felt like it flowed organically, entertaining. It was a good main event. What'd you think?
So I agree with you. I thought this was an excellent main event, and both wrestlers within the last year or two have become one of my favorites to watch. My introduction to Bandito was 2 years ago when I decided to watch the Supercard of Honor, Ring of Honor pay-per-view, where him and Jonathan Gresham had a banger of a match to unify the Ring of Honor championship to determine who was the undisputed one. Unfortunately, Bandito lost. It was so weird, too, in Ring of Honor. I'm like, Chavo Guerrero, is that you? Because he was Bandito's manager at the time. It was so weird to see all that.
That's funny.
And then Konosuke's story is just one of those things where I love seeing it. So originally, last year, Konosuke actually came from Japan because he's originally from Japan. Mm-hmm. And so he wrestles in Japan. I believe he trained under Shinsuke for a little bit. So a lot of the Japanese male wrestlers have a little bit of the strong style in it because in Japan, there's a lot of, for the men most of the time, it's usually working a lot of stiff and strong kicks and strikes, things like that, which makes sense for Takeshita to be built the way that he is and to be that light striker and kicker when need be. And he got sent over here because Japanese wrestling companies, what they like to do, I believe the term is like a journey is what they call it.
Oh, yeah,
where they send where they send Japanese wrestlers to have them wrestle in America. And it's not necessarily a punishment, but it's to help them either gain more repertoire in their skill set, or if they need to work on their promos, working in the States with characters and things like that helps them out. So Konosuke was here for 8 months. And then he was set to go back, and he did for a little bit. And then Tony decided when he came back to the United States, he signed Konosuke to AEW, which made me really, really happy because face Konosuke was great. I'm really, really excited with heel Konosuke, especially being teamed up with Don Callis. Anybody who knows anything about wrestling, Don has been in this business for a very, very long time. And he is a consummate professional, and this team somehow works. It works very well. Also, as a small side note, I love that AEW, as well as a lot of the other independent, I love when they allow their wrestlers to give promos in their native language instead of trying to make them speak English. Yeah. So before this match, I was mad at Don Callis. I'm like, how dare you interrupt Mark Henry? That's I was like, bro. I was like, of course Don Callis went into Mark Henry because Don Callis is a douchebag.
Don douchebag. Yep.
But I really like that they let Konosuke give off a little promo before heading to the ring in Japanese. By the way, let's talk about this entrance. That picture they did the close up of.
I was gonna say,
I was laughing so hard. I was like, there's underlying some things that we don't got the time to talk about here because that's a whole nother can of words. And I'm just like, this is stupid. But that's what I want in my wrestling sometimes. I was like, this makes no sense, but I'm intrigued. As far as the actual match,
Konosuke has a centaur and Dot's.
God, dude.
Let me find out.
Him and Don. I was just like,
Girl.
I mean,
okay.
Oh my goodness! But
Anyway.
As far as the actual wrestling, I think overall this match ended up being really, really good. I did get worried a little bit because it did start a little slow as they were trying to feel each other out, which is going to happen at the beginning of matches. I think then, like 5 minutes in, then everything kind of just went level 10 because then they just Konosuke was striking hard. Bandito was pulling every trick in the book in this high flyer luchador style to that. The last 4 or 5 minutes, those ending sequences of them just keeping going back and forth with near pinfalls and just throwing every trick out of the book. Bandito's I'm trying to remember what the move is called. I think it's like the 21 or something like that, where he runs, he tries to grab Takeshita, he bounces off the rope, he comes back and tries to do some sort of modified Canadian destroyer, and then Konosuke stays on his feet. He does something similar. Bandito gets on his feet, and then they just go back and forth.
Yeah.
Bandito I'm so happy that Tony Khan helped him fix the whatever visa issues that he was having, because Bandito, listen, him, Commander, and just give me all the luchador action. I want all the luchador action. Give it to me now.
So good. So that was a good final match. So, Mikey, final thoughts on AEW Rampage for tonight, the night of June 17th, 2023.
Oh, that's right. You're ahead of me. Because it's technically still June 16th for me, West Coast time.
My bad.
June 16th, don't worry. On the bright side, you are closer to the debut of Collision than I am at the moment, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But overall, I thought Rampage was a lot of fun. Over the last couple months or so, Rampage has been hit or miss for me. Usually I don't really pay attention to Rampage because most of the time whatever happens at Rampage usually doesn't translate over outside of your big main people on Dynamite. It doesn't really anything that happens in Rampage doesn't really translate over to Dynamite or the pay-per-views. But I think this was a fun show. The opener does an excellent job of continuing to show that Will Ospreay is a threat. God, that hidden blade finisher is so frightening to watch, where he just runs and just hits the back of your neck, man. I thought Taya versus Trish was fun. I'm hoping that we get proper build between her and Chris. The trios match was so silly, but it was the best thing possible. This is my match from just wrestling entertainment, that is my match of the night. But from a technical standpoint, the main event between Konosuke and Bandito, hands down, was the best match of the night. I give this a solid 3 out of 5 stars for me. I thought this was one of the better Rampages that I have seen in a little bit. I still think my favorite one was 2 weeks ago when there was Championship Rampage, where championships were on the line.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
I also need more El Hijo del Vikingo on my TV screen, just saying.
Right? Come on. Well, hopefully now with Dynamite Collision and Rampage, we'll hopefully get more of him. But yeah, I thought it was solid Rampage. I feel that over the last few weeks there has been a lot better interplay between Rampage and Dynamite, but I also feel like that has been a ramp up for Collision as well. Now with if all of the backstage talk that I've been hearing is correct, that Rampage is now going to become the new AEW Dark, where they're going to have a lot more of their of the newer wrestlers and whatnot on. I'm okay with that. But I also feel that now with Collision, kind of as a bookend for Dynamite, I feel that we're gonna start seeing more stories that flow amongst the three shows, and hopefully we'll be seeing a lot more faces, a lot fresher faces, and yeah, I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. I don't do stars. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. You shut your mouth, Jay Lethal.
Give the Orange Cassidy thumbs up.
Orange Cassidy thumbs up. Right. All right. So that was our review of AEW Rampage for June 16th, 2023. I am Adolfo, the nerdy Puerto Rican.
I am Mikey, the Puerto Rican, Mexican, French, whatever you want to call it. I am a mixed bag, ladies and gentlemen. I am so happy. Oh, we need to figure out what we're calling our team. So, sidebar real quick, listening and viewing audience too. So, if you have been paying attention, all the teams that have been reviewing so far this week have come up with fun team names. So, our Dynamite team is the Dynamic Duo, which is JVL and the Professor. Me and JVL for Ring of Honor. We are the Bi-Conics Ring Review of Honor, otherwise known as the acronym of BRO. So we're Team Bro. So we just got to figure out what we're going to call our team name.
You know what? Wonderful listening audience. If you have a cool team name that you want to share, then go ahead and throw it down in the comments. And, we will pick the best one from the comments and go from there. How about
For
that?
sure. But as Adolfo has said, that is going to conclude this week's episode of our Beat the Clock long form version of our Rampage review. Come back next week to see what kinds of other shenanigans go down on Rampage. But until then, thank you for tuning in. And until next episode, adios and sayonara.